Good morning, dear friends, fellow learners, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 267th weekly webinar series of AABN. Despite the unprecedented times we have all lived through recently, our network has remained strong, staying connected and creating positive pathways for each other. For that, I extend my heartfelt thanks for your faith and support. AABN began as a fledgling outfit to connect professionals on a proactive platform, a place to exchange useful information, build contacts, and listen to game changers across disciplines such as engineering, agriculture, marketing, entrepreneurship, and business management. Thanks to our strong fundamentals, clear goals, and the camaraderie that binds us, we have grown in leaps and bounds. Today, as we look ahead, our office bearers unanimously felt it's time to expand beyond webinars to reach a larger multidisciplinary audience and create greater visibility for our entrepreneurs. The theme of today's session, Rural India, the foundation of a sustainable future, is both timely and profound. Rural India is not only the backbone of our economy, but also the custodian of traditions, natural resources, and community resilience. As the world grapples with sustainability challenges, it is clear that rural ecosystems holds the key to solutions, from food security and water management to climate adaptation and regenerative practices. By centering rural foundations, we can ensure inclusive growth, balanced development, and a future that is both equitable and sustainable. It's my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Sandeep Anirudhan, founder and convener of IKM Community for Sustainable Living. Mr. Anirudhan has dedicated his life to the commons, stepping away from conventional paths over a decade ago to volunteer full-time for society and the planet. Inspired by Gandhiji's Hind Swaraj and the Constitution of India, he embodies the principles of minimalism, gift economy, and participatory democracy. He has founded and nurtured several citizen-led communities that catalyze awareness and collective action across diverse domains: sustainability and regeneration, water security, urban planning, grassroots democracy, sustainable mobility, natural farming, and climate action. His journey was sparked by a deeply personal loss, which made him acutely aware of the limited time we have on earth. Choosing to dedicate himself to causes larger than self, he took the plunge without financial safety nets, trusting society and the universe to support him. And indeed, society has reciprocated, sustaining these initiatives through crowdfunding and public support, giving him the autonomy to take uncompromising stands on critical issues. Mr. Anirudhan's life is a testament to courage, conviction, and community spirit. His insights today will help us understand how rural India can serve as a foundation for a sustainable and resilient future. Before I invite Mr. Anirudhan to share his thoughts, I would like to place on record a sincere appreciation to Ms. Brinda Adich, whose support and connection made it possible for us to bring such an inspiring speaker to this forum. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Mr. Sandeep Anirudhan. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Sandeep.
Yeah. Thank you, Gopi. Thank you, ABN, and all the members and all the participants in today's discussion. It is a webinar format, so I don't know how much interaction is possible, but it would be great if there can be interaction. So, I'd like to start the meeting. Actually, of course, we have shared a discussion point and stuff like that. Just slightly deviating from that, I'd like to actually encourage everybody in the meeting to basically contemplate on a simple question. What kind of a world will we leave to the generation ahead? In fact, I'd actually encourage you to think on a even more critical question. Will we leave a world for our next generation? And some of you might find it amusing that I'm even asking such a question, but I don't know how many of you have heard of these IPCC reports that get released every year. Interplanetary, the IPCC translates to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It's a body of scientists from across the world It's international, and they've been releasing these reports almost on an annual basis. And over the last decade, every report literally talks of a doomsday scenario for the world if we do not take corrective action. And they say they have a very narrow window for corrective action, and the entire world blissfully ignores these warnings. And the warnings are as grave as maybe we have another 10, 20, 30, or 50 years left on this planet for life on the planet. You're talking of what do you call that? Not a species collapse. You're talking of a complete life collapse, you know. So these are these doomsday scenarios which are supported by science. Some might say, like, of course, President Trump says that climate change is not real. But then you have that segment of society. But a large segment of society of the informed, scientific, evidence-based groups say that yes, this is true, and we're heading towards a big calamity. In fact, we're walking into a fire with our eyes open. I would say not with their eyes open because most people are not even aware. Most wouldn't have heard of these warnings. Yes, climate change is something that comes into parlance. A lot of people talk about it. Still, not with the seriousness that it deserves. So, starting on that note, uh, since Gopi requested me to, like I largely delve on sustainability as a single thing, you know, like if we really study the principles of sustainability, there is no disconnection between an urban and a rural or various other things, you know. Everything is interconnected on this planet, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. Uh, so this interconnectedness leads to the conclusions which are far more uh, deeper in the sense that we cannot really take any decision in isolation. Everything is interconnected. Be it a city or be it a village, be it a farm, be it a forest, be it the atmosphere, be it the climate, the wind patterns. All of these are interconnected, and the effect, the anthropogenic changes that are happening, which is the human-made changes that are impacting all of these systems, are also interconnected. So what happens in a village affects a city. What happens in a forest affects a city. What happens in a city affects a village and a forest. So these are all interdependent. So while I was thinking about how we'll go about this discussion or presentation, I initially thought I'll have a, a deck of, I mean, a PPT deck. But then I decided against it because the point is we all tend to we have so much information and imagery thrown at us that we stop imagining. I'd like us to imagine because whatever future we hope to create, we have to first imagine it. And a lot of us are losing our ability to imagine because we don't exercise our imagination enough. And what we can't imagine, we will never create. So yeah. So first, going into starting with sustainability. A lot of people, I don't know if we formed an idea of what is sustainable. My personal opinion is the time to consider sustainability is long gone. That was maybe 100 years ago. Because sustainability literally says that, you know, of the idea of sustaining something is you're maintaining it as it is. So is our present world worth sustaining? I mean, is this how we want the world to be? It's certainly not ideal. Uh, in terms of livability, in terms of climate factors, in terms of how our natural environment is, and even our built environment. It's open to critical review. So, talking of sustainability, many would actually argue that the present situation is not something that needs to be sustained. Forget about whether it's sustainable. Um, if you don't mind, could the admins please mute the mics that are Gopi? Would you mind muting the people who are speaking on?
PS, can you mute them? PS. Can you mute everybody other than the speaker? Sunep. Yeah, please go on, sir.
Yeah, thank you. No problem. So, yeah, so the question is, while sustainability is a widely thrown about term, it literally means uh, maintaining things as they are. Well, the well-intentioned aspect of that idea of sustainability is that will prevent things from getting worse. But for those who can go back to the Rio summit of the 1980s, it was decided by countries around the world, in an agreement that we will try to reverse emissions to pre-1970 levels. Their assumption was pre-1970 was decent and acceptable. It's another thing that uh, since then and after all these climate conferences, COP and everything, not a I mean, no effort around the planet has ever achieved going back. I mean, the Rio summit is in the 80s. We couldn't go back anywhere from the 80s, leave alone that. We have moved in the exact opposite direction in a compounded manner, in the sense we have multiplied our emissions, multifold since then. So there's a clear disconnect between intent and action. There's a clear disconnect between knowledge and policy. There's a clear disconnect with even fear and protection. And I mean, we don't seem to be working in the space of anything logical for the last 5 or 10 decades. So was 1970, according to the Rio Summit, 1970 level of emissions is what we should achieve. Or pre-industrial, I don't think was not even conceived. But ideally, a sustainable world was pre-industrial, and that's something we all agree on generally. Can we even aspire to go back to a pre-industrial level? That's a very interesting question. In fact, I find it very interesting to go to Gandhiji. And all of you know that Gandhiji was very strong on Gram Swaraj, and so that will be an interesting framework to consider when we are talking about rural sustainability. And if you read Hind Swaraj, published in 1908 by Gandhiji, he has uh, very incisive views on what the world what it will lead to in the future centuries. So at that stage, I would consider Gandhiji was he was a genius in terms of his thinking. I think he was still not yet middle-aged, he was young or something. And what he says in the book are simple lines with profound wisdom. He says, factory production will destroy the planet. Very simple, but imagine somebody in the early 19th century, 18th century, sorry, 20th century, 1910s, even talking about it in the terms that this is actually going to destroy the planet. I mean, please keep in mind that he was not a scientist or somebody from that discipline. He was more or less a regular citizen. He's making these deeply profound statements. So what he said is factory production will destroy the planet. He also says that urbanization will destroy the planet. Very interesting. So basically, Gandhiji was sort of a sustainability proponent, and what he was deeply advocating was that we should go back to handmade production. And there's a lot of, I mean, it might sound simple, but essentially he's talking, what he's alluding to is the kind of energy use, the kind of mechanization, the kind of impact on communities, the kind of pollution, kind of a whole lot of things is the reason why handmade production is better than factory made production. Of course, we can get into the intricacies of, well, can we produce everything that we are producing now through factories, through handmade? That's a very interesting discussion too. Can industry survive? So we'll come to that. And so Gandhiji made these deeply profound statements then. So he was seeing into the future. Interestingly, everything he said is actually come true, more or less. If you really look around our planet now, today, how uh, how sustainable or unsustainable is it? How much worse is it? And have some of what the things Gandhiji said actually come true? Uh, I largely agree that he was really visionary. He actually saw these happening. In fact, that's the reason we missed a golden opportunity after independence. Uh, Nobody paid attention to what he said. Actually, Hind Swaraj is actually a checklist of things we should do after we get independence. Uh, Nehru's government actually went in the exact opposite direction. He didn't even pay attention to anything Gandhiji said. So that's very shocking, considering that he actually owed his position as prime minister to Gandhiji. So, but Gandhiji's policies were thrown in the dustbin. In fact, it took us almost 40, 50 years later to realize that simple things like what Gandhiji advocated for, like local self-government. In fact, one of the very interesting things he said in Swaraj is, well, if the British give us Swaraj, that is local self-government, I don't want them to leave because that's what our demand is. So it'll be fascinating to note that somebody we consider the freedom fighter actually said that I don't care if the British leave as long as they give us Swaraj, control over our local self-government and control over our destiny. So it's unfortunate we don't read the vision of our freedom fighters. We've caricatured them into father of the nation. We give them all these titles, but we don't read their works. Therefore, we don't know what their vision was, and we don't know whether we fulfilled their vision. They gave up their lives for our country. They gave up their blood. They gave up their careers. They gave up their wealth. They gave up their entire life fighting for Swaraj. What have we in the last 80 years done to deserve that? We don't even read their books. In fact, Hind Swaraj probably should be a national book. If you read that, you'll understand what Gandhiji wanted for our country after independence. Have we achieved those? Shouldn't we review it occasionally? So this is how we failed our freedom fighters and our visionary founders. Uh, so coming back to so I was just trying to extrapolate on the ideas of sustainability and whether that itself is a desirable ideal. So in my opinion, that bus has it's left long ago. We missed the bus long ago. Uh, Nowhere in any ideal imagination of what we want for our planet, for our future, does the idea of sustainability anymore apply? Because we don't want to sustain what exists now. It's extremely extractive, extremely polluting, extremely destructive. Most of our cities, of course, are completely unlivable. But our rural areas are getting unlivable. Not now, it has actually started a long time back. And most people don't see it because rural areas are not in the scanner of the media, it's not in popular discussions and all that. So, well, if not sustainability, then what? So I keep thinking that we have to reverse the clock. Whether it's not whether we want to or we would like to or we desire to. It is inevitable. We have to turn the clock back. And the only way we can do that is by regenerating. We have to address every principle of development we follow. And we have to address how these can be made regenerative. Because what we have now is a uh, destroyed environment. We have largely destroyed uh, world. So this is not something we need to sustain. We need to revive it. So I think the ideal word to address today's challenge and the solution for it is regeneration. Can we regenerate? Can we rethink the ways of living? Can we revive all our destroyed uh, environment? Can we make our world far more livable? Not only, and we have this very limited view of our species. We are thinking that everything should be livable, comfortable for this one species that comes with exclusive rights called the human species, right? We are only thinking about us, but we should also think about whether it will also be livable and better for all the species that inhabit this planet, which are already dying by the millions due to human impact. So, so in that context, can we look at since the topic for today is rural India? I was thinking we'll address this idea of can we regenerate rural India and what principles do we have to follow to do that? So first, let's look at what is the state of our the rural areas of India. The rural India right now, the big challenges we face are there's a lot of degeneration of the habitat. Uh, while we think water scarcity is a an urban phenomenon, you'll be shocked to know how bad things are in the rural area. Water scarcity itself is becoming a huge issue. Uh, Groundwater is completely depleted in most areas, and a lot of people don't think. Everybody's idea is that rural villages are all green. And no, no, climate change is a huge impact in rural villages, and it's largely because the resilience of villages is lost, not because the climate change has to necessarily impact them. I'll also slightly explain. There is a huge amount of migration happening from rural villages to urban areas. Why would people migrate from rural villages to urban areas? Um, I cannot think of any reason other than that it's becoming, what do you call it? It's just not people are unable to make a living there, right? And why are they not able to make a living in villages anymore? I think almost 80% of the next generation or the present generation also are have either migrated to urban centers or are in the process of migrating. Then there's a complete loss of biodiversity, and a lot of urban planners are also replicating them to the rural areas. You should remember that even the rural populations are aspirational. Unfortunately, their what do you call that? Their benchmark for uh, what is desirable, unfortunately, happens to be what the urban India is doing and what they see in the media. Is that desirable? That's a big question because we've seen what destruction it's caused in urban India. Should that happen in rural India? And again, there's nothing to prevent them from doing it because everybody has a choice, right? So, given this context, this is what rural India is facing largely, and some of the demographic changes that this might lead to have to be kept in mind. Right now, more or less about two-thirds of our population lives in rural India, so that shapes a lot of things. The impact that's happening on our country, the uh, of course the politics and everything. By 2050, it is projected that almost 50% would become urban. So 50% of population would have migrated to urban centers. So that's going to shift a lot of things. And the question is why is this migration happening? And nobody believes this migration can be sustained by the urban centers of India. You come to cities like Bangalore, you will see how the city is already crumbled. The city cannot deal with the population influx. Literally everything is crumbling, and of course it's happening in Chennai, it's happening in Delhi, happening in Mumbai. All of these big centers, they have crossed the limits of what the city can sustain. If the population is going to grow by about another 20, 30, or 50%, there'll be complete collapse of these cities. And the kind of unrest that can lead to is going to be unimaginable. Climate change is going to be another big compounding factor because it's leading to so many erratic things. Like, see, this year the monsoon is completely off. So, what kind of water pressure is going to lead to is everybody is literally scared of what is going to happen, for the rest of the year. So, these will compound further when the population pressures also expand. And given that none of our cities have planned development, mostly, so that's going to be a mess. So it's also in the interest of all of us urbanites. If we don't have a resilient, thriving rural sector, this is going to happen to our cities. So it's in our interest to worry about it too. If all this population migration happens to urban centers, we are doomed. So we should start thinking how can we help rural India revive itself, regenerate, so that livelihoods are possible in rural India and people don't have to migrate. See, they're not migrating because they want to. Most people want to stay close to their home, to their family, to their relatives and stuff like that. And generally, the quality of, I mean, the environment, air, water, everything is good. So, air, water. Relatively, it's better than the cities yet. So nobody is migrating because they want to. They are migrating because they don't have much of a choice or they don't see a choice. That's what it is. So I'll also try to delve a little deeper into what are the specific reasons for this, what's happening in the rural areas. Also, I'd like to give a disclaimer. See, I'm not a specialist per se on anything. I'm a generalist, and a lot of my views are, let's say, I'm just trying to provoke a discussion, raise a question, and these are just mere observations. Some of them might not be even in depth. Most of these are taken on the basis of publicly available information. So I just want to give you the disclaimer. So what I would like to encourage all of you is, yeah, whatever I say may provoke some curiosity in your mind, might challenge some of the individually held beliefs or even popularly held beliefs. So it's good. It's good to always question things so that we all can consider things and try to push for uh, solutions. So one. So let's come to the basics. I was telling you water scarcity is going to be a big crisis. If you look at most of rural agriculture, especially, and the predominant occupation in villages is agriculture, right? So if you look at the arable land in villages, a huge amount of it is becoming not arable. A lot of, I think one estimate put it at 50 million hectares or so have become like you cannot cultivate anymore. Uh, and what could be the reasons for it? No, sorry, I was off. Actually, according to latest data, almost 160 million hectares is what the arable land is. Of these, almost 50 million, that's so almost one third is actually becoming non-arable, and they become like, agriculture doesn't become productive or it doesn't have returns. And what are the reasons for it? And one of the big reasons for it, as far as I understand, is one, the government in the 60s and 70s pushed and marketed something called the green revolution, which I think should be retermed as a red revolution because it's led to the destruction of our farming. What did it actually do? It pushed chemical use. Yes, that's simple. A lot of companies wanted to market chemicals. But to push the chemicals, they had to ensure that the farmers follow a system of practice which doesn't allow them to do agriculture normally, and they become dependent on chemicals. So how do you do that? You basically get rid of all the vegetation and destroy the ecosystem, right? Uh, Typically, if you went to a village today, and these are things you can observe, like if you went to a village today and you looked around, do you see a lot of green vegetation? Like I've been to many villages and I stand around farms and I wonder, most of it is they look like deserts, except when there is when the crop has been planted and they are growing. Otherwise, it's just like desert. There's vast expanses with hardly any vegetation. So, by any yardstick, can we imagine that nature has actually designed a whole landmass to only have crops that we want, monocrops mostly, and basically they are basically grasses and stuff like that, right? And otherwise dry. Any ecosystem to be healthy, you need diverse biodiversity. Then the soil is also healthy. And when the soil is healthy, you actually don't need chemicals. So one of the things that it pushed our farmers to actually destroy our ecosystem at a large scale is because they were sold this notion that you put these chemicals into the soil, anything will grow. You don't have to worry about the rest. So they themselves started cutting off all the trees that surrounded their farms, selling it off for commercial. And it's reached a point where it's basically desert. And these farmers hope when the rains come, we throw some chemicals into the soil and crop will grow. This unscientific way of farming actually has destroyed most of our farms because year on year, the soil reaches a point where it cannot, nothing can grow on it. And farmers have been using more and more chemicals to somehow make it work. And this kind of farming leads to other dependencies. You need a lot more water, you need a lot more labor, you need a lot more of other things. So our farms are all literally at the end of their life. This is one of the reasons farmers don't see hope of livelihood there. And mostly farmers are at a loss. So that's why you hear about these lakhs of farmers committing suicide. Why they? Because the farms are not uh, be able to repay the debts that the farmers incur to do something with their farm. So how is this myopia happening? If any of you, like, I'm just trying to help you understand what's sustainable, what is regenerative, and what is not. We can use this as a simple use case to even understand it. So my perception is that sustainability is not a very complicated topic. Yes, Balaji, you may please pose questions. And I think there's a Q&A at the end. We can even speak. So if you look at simple way to understand what sustainability is, I believe you can do it with 5 questions or even 10 questions. It's a very simple dipstick thing. If you want to ask if farming is being done in a sustainable manner, you can ask simple things. Does it destroy our natural ecosystem? Does it incur energy use in the entire life cycle? So for every gram of fertilizer or pesticide used in a farm, how much energy life cycle use? If you go back, it goes all the way back to fossil fuel use. So most of all these chemicals are fossil fuel derived products. Then what is the water use? So if you're in a sustainable form of farming, would you need water? If it's unsustainable, do you use water? Present day water use is extremely high. So does it pollute? So literally every form of chemical farming pollutes not only the farm, not only the food we eat, it pollutes the entire environment. So most farm runoff uh, pollute entire river ecosystems all the way to the ocean and the air, everything. Is it ethical? A lot of questions of ethics arrive at every component of farming today. Does it support communities? You see, the most, I think one of the most essential thing is also about whether it's doing good. Any form of activity. Does it support communities or does it become more of a corporate activity and things like that? So these are all questions to ask. So a few of these questions you apply to anything. Like if you're looking at fabric, how is the fabric manufactured? You apply the same question. You'll understand whether it's sustainable or not depending on the source. And a lot of people think, oh, we don't have any form of manufacturing or anything that's sustainable anymore. I I would love to break that uh, belief. It there is a sustainable alternative to literally everything. Like when I'm talking of fabric, uh, you still have handmade fabric which are extremely sustainable, right from the produce used to the methods of manufacture. It is decentralized, supports entire communities. There is no pollution, very less energy use. Then you go to a factory system. Brands, big brands with their big factories. Basically, uh, they have everything. The same questions. Everything will be bad answers there. You'll have extremely high energy use, extremely high water use, extremely high pollution. Literally unethical. They are slave shops. Then they basically like while sustainable methods of production will benefit entire communities, entire villages, entire areas. A factory production will give invest heavily. They'll invest billions and give uh, slave like what do you call employment to a few. In comparison, there's nothing. They just employ a few thousands or something for the amount of manufacturing they displace from community-based manufacturing. So basically, there's no fair trade or ethics in anything that's unsustainable. So the so it's so easy to understand what's sustainable and what is not. And when we go to when we're considering farming, we are even moving beyond sustainability, because so I was telling you what the conundrum that the green revolution has trapped us in. We're destroying our land, we're destroying our livelihood. Farmers are committing suicide, or they're migrating to the cities. They're just selling away their properties and running. And these are not theoretical. I have visited many farms in rural areas because I used to study sustainable farming at one point, and I've visited villages where there are only old people left in the farm, in the villages, and these old people continue doing whatever farming, and they all say it's not profitable anymore. There's no return on farm. They just do it because there's nothing else to do, and the land is destroyed, water table is destroyed, extreme overconsumption, and when you really look at it, study it, if any of you trek, and this is to understand the science of the soil, because these are people dealing with soil every day. And while we tend to think these urbanites, we are all like very superficial. We don't understand anything anymore, and stuff like that. We think the villagers are good. They understand. They're still connected and all that. So this is another misconception. These villagers who deal with soil every day, they don't understand how soil can be sustainable, and that's culture change. It's very difficult to understand. So if any of you trek, why I was saying go on trek, go to forest. These are the only places where humans are not yet destroyed. So you go walk there and understand how nature is designed first. What are the first things you notice? First, you'll notice when you try to look at soil that soil is invisible. Literally, always you'll find soil is covered by leaves or by vegetation everywhere. And there's a word we use for it called mulch. Mulch covers soil in nature. And why is it important? Nature has designed it in such a way that when mulch covers the soil remains cool. Water moisture is retained. It prevents sunlight from hitting the soil directly. There's a huge amount of population that we don't see that exists there. Of course, soil critters everybody talks about, earthworms and other insects and all that. They are very essential for soil, yes, for soil health, for its productivity and all that. But there are trillions of microbes that live there, which we can't see. So we don't understand what harm we are doing every time we expose soil. This simple thing, this is fundamental to everything that we have decided about soil. Because we can't see those microbes and we don't understand what those microbes do, these microbes convert all the nutrition that are required for plants and trees at the root level. They are the ones that provide. You might have heard about symbiotic existence, right? These are the ones that actually provide nutrition to the root zone of the soil. Because we can't see it, we don't quantify it, and we don't understand it, we don't realize we have to retain that in the soil if soil has to be nutritious, productive and nutritious. Because of this myopia, because we don't understand it, we completely expose soil. We get rid of all vegetation, we till the soil, we expose what is inside also to the sun, we destroy all of the microbes, we kill them, we massacre them. Then we say soil is not productive. Then we get all these chemicals and dump it into the soil to make it productive. If we understood that simple concept about soil, we would not cause a situation where it's very dependent on chemicals, where we have to destroy. And the other thing you'll understand when we go to a forest is that the forest has diversity. You have trees, you have smaller trees, you have grass, you have different things. And if you see, there is no monocrop in a forest. Everything is integrated in a beautiful way, and that is resilient. You don't hear about forests completely becoming barren until humans get there. When humans come anywhere, we create barrenness everywhere. But forests on their own don't become barren. So, what is it in nature, the design that everything is so self-sustaining? We don't require to water. We don't have to put any chemicals there. Everything's thriving much better than in any farm. The simple thing, and I say very often, the answers are the simplest. If we keep our soil covered, you don't require anything. I have myself, we had a community farm in our neighborhood. We used to do it as a community just to experiment. We used to take away all the our lawn croppings and all the plant pruning in our apartments. We used to go dump it on this empty land which was nearby, which was completely destroyed. Actually. It was a eucalyptus farm, so you can imagine what kind of degradation that happened. And we used to just use that farm We used to just dump all these lawn mowing and everything uh, on top of the soil, and we used to just leave it there as mulch. Within weeks, the soil was like we used to put our hand into the soil. This is something you should do when you go to forest. You will just see covered soil. You just put your hand in. It will easily go into the ground because the soil will be very porous. The earthworms are always there. Earthworms won't come if sunlight is falling directly on the soil because it's too hot. So when it becomes hot, we kill the microbes. We also destroy the other activity that's happening in the soil. And here, soil becomes very moist. And then we realize it had become very loose also on its own. So this is what nature and its friends are doing. Then all we did was we used to just plant saplings and seeds also. We used to just put them dibble into that under the mulch that we had spread over the soil. Within months, everything was growing wonderfully well, like complete abundance, growing wild, and we just intercropped everything. Everything thrived, and we have videos of it on our Facebook group and all that. We are not farmers; we just experimented. If farmers understood that, we would not depend on this unnecessary chemical pesticide complex. Our lands would get, those millions of hectares which are becoming fallow, we would be able to revive them. And village economies can completely be revived and regenerated. Not only that, if we understood the diversity requirement, even the ecosystems of the villages will be revived. One simple understanding of soil, and you can solve everything else. Similarly, we have to look at everything else. We have to get to the root of the issue. Where are we adopting some of these decisions, some of these paradigms we adopted, some of these frameworks? What is that decision based on? At what level of understanding it is? Most often, I see that the unsustainable decisions get taken because our understanding is itself is at superficial level. The problem is somewhere the mistakes that happened have been taken, have piled up, and we are at the surface level. We see everything is broken. And often we try to address the solutions also at the surface level. At the surface level, you can't. At best, you can medicate. Like they say, no, but Western medicine, it tries to address the symptoms. It doesn't address the causes. So you will continue to have that problem. You will keep eating medicines all your life. That similar and that exact thing is happening in all areas of our life. Our economy, our businesses, everything. We are addressing things at a very superficial level. We are not finding solutions because we don't dive deep. We don't go, peel all those layers of the onion to reach where the problem really lies. So for farming, the problem lies at our lack of understanding of soil. You understand soil and it will set everything else right. So now there is this huge movement, if you've heard of natural farming. In fact, Andhra Pradesh is one government which is trying to scale it across the state, and a lot of other states have also started this initiative. What it essentially does is one, yes, it tells the farmers to understand the soil again, keep it covered. And that solves multiple things. I'll tell you, it even solves water shortage. We're talking of water depletion, we're talking of groundwater depletion. That's because now farmers are only extracting, but it is not regenerating. When the soil is exposed, what happens is one exposed to the sun, it cakes up. And then water doesn't, which way will water flow when it rains? Sideways. It will not go in. Therefore, and you don't have earthworm activity because the soil is exposed, they will not come. So earthworms generally tunnel, deep tunnels, about 16 feet. Then those multitudes of tunnels have gone missing. So now water is only, rushing sideways. It causes erosion of soil also. Most farmers have to import soil every year because the rainwater just floods and erode soil. It doesn't get percolate into the ground, so there's no groundwater recharge. And a lot of our what I'll come to that next. And then even by wind, a lot of erosion happens because uh, once the soil is exposed and all the greenery, all the other supporting ecosystem is gone. No? There's no tree cover, nothing. So rains also fall harder. So we have crop loss because of that. So until we rebuild an ecosystem that is sustainable, farming cannot be solved. If we do that, it becomes regenerative. The farmers also become, so there are case studies in Andhra Pradesh. The government is now documenting. Most often what happens, all these good things we do, they're never documented. all the bad things that have to be done, like what corporates have to do. They spend a lot of money documenting, peer study, all that they do, and they publish documents. We're not good at doing the good things because the good things don't benefit anyone. If all the farmers adopt natural farming, five of the biggest chemical companies in the world will go out of business. So there is no vested interest in documenting what goes well. So a lot of these have to be community efforts. Thankfully, now the government is doing something in Andhra Pradesh. They've documented everywhere natural farming is adopted by farmers. One, their land starts thriving. Second, almost zero investment. Farmers don't have to go outside to put anything on their farm. Everything is available in the farm can be used. Third, their income gets better. You know why? For the simple, it's very simple arithmetic. You're not investing much anymore on the soil once you adopt regenerative farming or natural farming, because what? You don't have to till, you don't have to pour water, you don't need labor, you don't invest in fertilizers, you don't invest in chemicals. A huge amount of your investment is gone. Very minor investments are required otherwise. Then what happens? Whatever you sell as produce from your farming, whatever you get is almost profit. Otherwise, the farmer had so much investment and then he's fighting market prices. When the farmer harvests his produce, every other farmer is also harvested. All of it goes to the market at the same time. So the prices are suppressed. Then all of them make loss. So, and even if they didn't make, if the prices were good also, their investment is so high over the years, they've accumulated problems, the ground, the saltified soil, they are putting more fertilizer, a lot of other things happen. So eventually, if you're not incurring those costs, even at the worst price, it's still a profit. The farmer doesn't go on a loss. This is the most important improvement in the commercial life of the farmer. If if this bit is solved, livelihood is back in the rural area already. So then, when livelihood is back, they will spend on local other thing products and stuff like. So a lot of local production will uh, start thriving. So local economy will begin to stand on its feet. This is very important. If you're talking of any sort of revival of rural India, you have to revive rural economies. They have to stand on their feet. When that happens, all this migration to the cities will stop. It will also solve our urban management problem. So some of these things are so simple, but to understand that we have to go to the root of the problem, otherwise we will not solve it. And understanding going to the root of the problem is a big difficulty today because unfortunately we have an education system that makes us mug. It doesn't inculcate the habit of observation. It doesn't inculcate the habit of questioning. It doesn't inculcate the habit of independent research. It doesn't inculcate even the activity of collaboration, talking to people, working with people as communities, all of that. Our school system is certainly a big problem. I'm not saying we shouldn't have education, but we need to revisit the pedagogy. You see, before 200, 300 years, we didn't have this public education system, but people understood their environment, nature. It was all sustainable. People built lakes, large reservoirs. They didn't require engineers or structural engineers or hydrologists. We, after all this education and all these degrees that have come into our life, we have only worsened things. We destroyed most of our lakes, forests, environment. They improved it. I'm even looking at the example of Bangalore. It was a dry plateau about 2000 years back. The local communities built, what do you call it? They used to put these check dams across rainwater drains called Rajkaluways, and they built about 2000 lakes. And then they planted trees. They built abundance. So Bengaluru became an abundant city because the locals understood their environment, they understood water, they understood everything. They had not gone to school, they didn't have degrees. So we also have to understand, really question what is education. After spending 15, 20 years in school and college, what do? We don't know how to be citizens. We don't know how to improve our environment. We don't know how to fix local problems even. We don't understand governance. So about 99% of everything that's happening in our education system is wrong. We need to correct it. The national education policy is attempting to change it, but it's scratching the surface. We actually have to leapfrog, and we are not bad at leapfrogging. Huh? Like we built one of the most cutting edge space industries in the world at very low cost because we leapfrog. If we can do that with ISRO, we can do that with everything else also. So look at where education is today in, say, a country like Finland or Scandinavian countries. They don't have textbooks. They have facilitators, not even teachers. They don't have exams. And they have immersion. Basically, children are allowed to immerse in real life, real environment, and learn from it. That's a standard they have adopted in public education. I'm not talking of some rich people's institutions. No, not exclusive ones. We're talking of public education has reached that stage over there. They've completely moved away from the colonial system of education. We are stuck in the past. It's high time we move away from this and build a different pedagogy. What I'm saying is education system is necessary. We should ensure there is universal education, but pedagogy has to change. The classroom pedagogy belonged to 3 centuries ago. Classroom pedagogy is outdated. You can't have a classroom pedagogy. We can't have textbooks. We can't have this routine-based model. These are all, see, this education system was designed to create slaves for colonial systems of administration and for industry. We have moved past that. Now we are trying to solve an an age of existential problems. We have to solve the problems that will ensure that we will survive. Our next generation can survive. They'll have a planet to live on. So this education system doesn't help. We have to move back to an what do you call? I call it immersion. Simple. We immerse ourselves in life. We learn. If you spend time with governance, you learn how governance works. If you spend time in playing with mud, you'll understand how soil works. If you spend time with water, you'll understand how water works. If you spend time in society, you'll understand how society works. If a child is forced to grow, spend 20 years of its life locked inside a classroom, which resembles prison, and nobody questions this. Prison After prison, classroom is the place where we lose all our personal liberty. When the bell rings, we have to run like a flock to the classroom. When the bell rings, we have to leave. That is conditioning for routine, and that's only required in a factory. So we were all prepared. We were manufactured into factory slaves. Unfortunately, the system continues, and that is why we are disconnected from everything else in our reality, which is also why we are unable to solve problems in our reality. We start learning about these things. Initially, we get trapped in the, what do you call that, employment needs. Then again, we get trapped in so many other things, and we start learning what reality is and what we were, how we're told to keep out of it, not engage with it. It's a big mistake. We should engage always. So, so I explained to you how farming itself, how we can switch it from the present practices of destructive farming to regenerative and natural farming, which will solve a lot of problems. And mind you, I have visited farmers who have switched. All their farms are far more productive than any chemical farm in comparison. So this is another myth that is propagated, that only chemicals can create productivity. No, actually chemicals destroy productivity, but it's nobody studies it deeply enough. We go by marketing. Also, we are conditioned for 20 years in our schools to only listen to experts and to authority figures. So we believe the experts and the authority because we don't believe what happens in real. So visit regenerative natural farms. You will see the difference. Until you actually experience it, it's not your truth. Like the Buddha said, don't believe anyone, including myself, until you actually experience it. So please visit any natural farm you can find. I'm not even talking organic, I'm talking natural. Organic is another industry that is built on selling organic fertilizers and chemicals. Fertilizers and pesticides. That is also not exactly very it doesn't restore the ecosystem. You have to find natural farms. It's called agroecology. Go to those farms and you'll understand how things can really change. Things can revolutionary to the point of a revolution. This is where the revolution lies. If you fix all the farms in the country, not only will it, and the interesting part of the reports from Andhra Pradesh National Community-based Natural Farming, the men were happy because their incomes improved. The women were happy because the health of the family improved. Now that they're not consuming chemically produced food, they have noticed that their children are healthier, the husband is healthier, they are also healthier. There's a qualitative improvement in their lives. Otherwise, they were all falling sick. Go to Punjab, there's an entire area called the cancer belt because of the green revolution, so called. And there's a train that goes to some cancer hospital in Jaipur. It's called the cancer train. So these are the things that have happened. We urbanites are completely out of touch. So similarly, uh, Gopi, how much more time can I spend? Gopi, are you there?
Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
No, how much time? I just want to calibrate.
Maybe another 10 minutes? Another
Yeah,
10,
sure.
15 minutes? Yeah, 10,
Yeah,
15 minutes. Yeah.
thank you, thank you. So basically, why I got to something as fundamental as agriculture is because agriculture is the backbone of our rural areas. In fact, it's the backbone of our country. Without food, none of us can get along. But it is completely gone wrong. It can be completely righted. And the most amazing thing about this is it can be completely righted without spending a pie. How deluded are we that we don't see this reality? You see. So similarly, even in manufacturing, we are very deluded. Like interestingly, handmade fabric. What is the best handmade fabric you can think of that was ever manufactured? Many of you would have heard of muslin, right? One of the finest. In fact, after a lady was draped in eight saris of muslin, you remember the king found her still showing her body. So that's as fine as it was, right? So that was. Do you know it was manufactured from cotton? Natural, I mean, like native cotton, and is handmade, and it's still done. You go to villages in Bengal, you'll still find families that are manufacturing muslin. Same old technology. The most important critical part is this: when you judge the quality of a fabric, there's this thing called fabric count. The higher the fabric count, the finer the fabric. Muslin has a fabric count of 1,800. Our factory product produced fabric, it cannot even match 500 fabric count. So a lot of us think factory production has improved our product. No, it hasn't. In many instances, we have reduced our standards to consume factory made products. They are not the best product. So if you look at all our basic needs, our food, it can be done naturally. We don't have to follow what is being produced now. And talking of fabric, I showed you that the fabric that's handmade is much better. And it is far more, I explained earlier, it benefits more communities. It benefits more people, not individual owners of business or corporate. It doesn't pollute. It doesn't. Most of the substances used for manufacturing in handlooms are all natural products. They're dyes from fruits, leaves, flowers, and all that, and some soil-based stuff. It doesn't pollute our water bodies. It doesn't pollute our waterways, and it generates huge amount of employment, livelihood for entire communities. These are things we don't understand because we don't understand how our dependence on all these factory-made labels and fast fashion have completely taken away business from entire regions. Every village in India had a sustainable handloom industry. It's all gone. Why? Because we buy these things. If we went back to that way of manufacturing, what Gandhiji said was right. Gram Swaraj office was built on understanding that everything can be produced locally, everything can be consumed locally, and that builds a very sustainable local economy. You don't have to contribute to the global climate change. You don't have to contribute to global warming. Everything is sustainable, and it also enriches the local economy, which is most important. So so production can go to sustainable waste. I just discussed textile for a reason that it's one of the basic needs. So our basic needs, food can be produced in a regenerative, sustainable manner. Clothing can be done the same thing. In fact, I use only sustainable clothing now that I understood this. And everything that I wear is far more comfortable than anything that is brand made. Everything is even more fashionable and nice. I don't know. It depends on perspective, but yes. And anything can be adapted. A lot of handloom material is used by brands now, and they are very fashionable. And what else? Housing. Housing can be done completely. See, this entire concrete thing, we started using cement and concrete only in the last century, largely, and steel. None of this is required. If you go to Yemen, you find skyscrapers that were built with clay. So building skyscrapers don't need steel and cement actually, and we don't need crazy skyscrapers either. Everything, some of those old houses that we had, typically mud-built houses last for thousands of years. Our concrete, cement-built houses don't last more than 50 years. So in terms of quality of construction, sustainability also, our natural methods are superior to the widely available commercial ways that we do it today. If you went to every problem, you'll find a solution like this. Sustainable options are there for everything. We just have to go deeper and study it. Okay. Now, some of the big questions that will arise is what about technology? What technology are you talking of? Mobile, television. Yes, these are not available through sustainable means yet. But we'll have to start making aware choices. What can be done sustainably is high time we do sustainability. If we take away, say, if we turn the entire industry back into sustainable ways, you will have huge savings. See, global warming, GHG gases, about somewhere between 30 to 50% of those gases come from farming and animal farming. Animal farming obviously is unsustainable. We should move to plant-based methods of nutrition. And if we can get into regenerative agriculture, you have solved half our climate crisis problem. And another half will be solved because most of these regenerative agriculture methods demand about 30 to 50% of tree cover, native species. So you will automatically bring back about 30% of forest cover. See, India is supposed to have had about 90% forest cover about 300 years back. The British colonial system, which was harvesting all of these to take them to Europe, destroyed about 50% of our forest cover. But do you know what we have done in the last 80 years? We've reduced it to 5%. We, a democratic, self-governed country, has destroyed another 50% of our forest cover. This has completely disrupted our climate. We don't understand this. But if we move to sustainable farming, that itself will bring back 30% tree cover. This is fantastic. That will take off a lot of carbon from the air. So the net, if we just moved agriculture back to sustainable ways, you're talking of reducing 50% of greenhouse gases, and the 30% increase in tree cover will take away another 20-30% probably of greenhouse gases. You might actually solve climate change. So these are policies that have to find their way up to the government and ensure that largely government works for corporate. They try to push chemicals and all that. So this sensitization should reach the government and ensure, but there's, while we work with government to change their policies, in fact, the present government is actually set up a separate ministry for natural farming and stuff like that. They have a working body and they're trying to popularize it. But big change has to come on local level. That's where we'll have to address all of these. Manufacture, agriculture, and housing. If we shift back to regenerative and sustainable practices, we will change the entire world. And this is very important. So, what does a sustainable village look like? All of this plus the change in education I was talking of. Move to a pedagogy which was immersion based. Children have to grow up in there. They should be allowed to wander. They should be allowed to understand everything. They will become better citizens too when they become adults, unlike us. So, what is the technology's role? Today's world, we have a lot of technology available. The way it helps us spread information. Yes. Also, planning can be better. Most of us might not be aware, but in the 73rd and 74th Amendment of our Constitution, it prescribed that there be planning committees for, of course, for urban areas and also district planning committees. There is supposed to be district planning committees with elected members of the district and experts. You have to bring all kinds of experts, obviously, regional planners, then transport planners, but more importantly, environmentalists, ecologists, people who understand agriculture, especially sustainable agriculture, business, economics, sociologists, all of these, and district master plans are supposed to be made. Why this is very important is, see, with this urban expansion happening, a lot of it is it's spilling over into rural areas. There's always these areas that surround cities which get completely urbanized, but they're still called rural areas. There's no protection from this. That's because we don't have master plans. So some of the things we who can influence policy is to ask governments to. I think some states, I think Maharashtra has developed district plans for all their districts. More important, of course, it will help sustainable planning for the district so that we do it in a way which is healthy, which is environment friendly, and also helps the economies develop in a balanced way. More importantly, it'll protect what we have. It'll protect the green cover we have. It'll protect the blue cover we have. All of these are lying unprotected because we don't have clearly, defined areas for all of these. So, district planning is something that should be taken up on a war footing to ensure the rural areas don't get run over by urban areas, these peri-urban sprawls and all that's happening. This will completely destroy. We have to have clearly defined green belts, areas that cannot get developed. So, as alumni, what can you all do? I'm sure all of your alumni are uh, in great places. You have financial mobility, financial independence, mobility, and some of you also have connects with government, connects with institutions, and generally you can influence something in some way. Uh, I think taking this information to all these areas where you can influence it is very important. So, and secondly, maybe uh, many of us come from villages. So maybe we can go back to villages, maybe adopt villages, try to spread information on all of this. Uh, when you say adopt a village, I think it should be collaborative. We can strengthen grassroots democracy. Many of you might be aware that the 74th Amendment mandates what do you call Gram Sabhas, village panchayat. These have to be strengthened. As long as the local area understand what is good for them and they are in power locally, they can prevent destructive. See, the present business model around the world, the global corporate expansion, they don't care about any of this. I'm telling you, whatever they say, all the greenwashing they do, every project of theirs destroys entire landscape, entire habitats, and entire livelihood. So villagers have to be well informed. They have to they have the power actually under the in the village panchayats and gram panchayats. They have to exercise it. So they need that information. So a lot of us can go back, adopt villages and help spread this information, help them be empowered and help them adopt these practices. If we can, the simplest, if we can encourage them to just go back to regenerative farming, natural farming, revive their handloom industry with sustainable practices, and any other. There are a whole lot of other trades like handmade, like carpentry is handmade. A lot of other manufacturing can be shifted to handmade, and a lot of these handmade industries, if they thrive locally, of course they can find markets outside the village also, but the local economies themselves will become self-sufficient and more importantly sustainable. When you have a sustainable local uh, eco, you every kind of activity creates what you call that a local ecosystem. This can actually hold those places. It can defend against climate change that's happening eventually. It creates a microclimate. While the macroclimate is disturbed, microclimate sometimes thrive. Like an a very excellent case is like Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, where they planted a lot of native trees, it grew into a forest, where the groundwater had depleted to almost 70 or 100 feet. It came back to 10 feet. And it has a very beautiful climate there. It's cool and comfortable. So even if the rest of the city has become a desert, like Bangalore has lost 70%, I mean 95% of its green cover. It has lost 95% of its blue cover also, and it's become a concrete desert. But wherever there is a forest, it's beautiful. The rest of the city is suffering. Similarly, if all our villages revive themselves, they can withstand climate change. The rest of the world may get affected, but wherever you have this microclimate, it will still thrive, and people will be able to survive and even thrive. So on that note, I'd like to. I have just covered a broad area of topic. I think that itself is pretty overwhelming. All of these areas have a lot of depth to delve into. So I hope this can raise a lot of questions, if not give answers. I hope the hour that you've invested in this is productive for you. And on that note, I'd like to thank you all for attending and participating and paying attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep. We'll now keep the floor open for question and answers. Participants, you can please unmute and ask your questions, please. One by one. So, Suresh sir, would you like to start?
Excellent presentation, sir, Sandeep sir. Superb.
Thank
This
you.
is where we are working, and mostly we are working with the community. If you can brief the role of community participation, how we can motivate the community to come to the mainstream, that will be very easy for us to follow.
So, what I realize is, see, our education system, like I told you, is so badly broken that the only form of education that will work now is community immersion. So, encouraging people, one, to participate in information dissemination, that's one thing. But also, it's important for them to experience. Like if you want to influence a group of villagers in, say, in one village, ideally, like I said, I demonstrated how natural farming can effectively solve all problems in my neighborhood in the city itself. So a plot of land can be taken as a demonstrator in a village, and all you have to do is mulch the whole thing and show them that they don't need to water, they don't need to put fertilizer, they don't need to put chemicals. You can show multiple crops and show how it is thriving. So setting up, and it doesn't cost anything. You can go talk to one village and say, give us your land for free, we're just setting up it, and he will happily do it. Villages are very large-hearted that way. If you go to a villager who has a few acres, you tell him, I want to do something for free in one corner. In fact, this also, this is a landowner who has 2 acres just in our neighborhood. And we said, we just want to do this voluntarily. He said, yeah, go ahead, do it. And he didn't have a water source. That was an advantage. Because if he had a water source, we wouldn't have realized that we don't require water. Because we humans, end of the day, we are like this. No, if we get a cold, pop up pill. We don't understand that if we just sleep it out for a couple of days, the body will heal itself. So having that pill is a disadvantage. So similarly, if there was a water tap, we would have flooded the land with water, and we would never have realized that water is unnecessary. That mulch is more than enough. Mulch creates.
Perfect.
So it'll fascinatingly, if you mulch soil, if you put about 6 inches of mulch uniformly on your soil, you will find that the soil below is always moist. And the studies have shown that every square meter of mulch soil, where there's either dry mulch, which is dead leaves and all that, or where there's grass or other greenery growing, about 6 liters of water is put into the soil purely through condensation every day. So your groundwater level will keep coming up automatically just because the ground is condensating water. So if you understand these fundamental things, so a demonstrator is the best thing. Take a plot about 10 feet by 10 feet in every area you want to influence people and just show them that this is possible. Immersion
that's
is
right.
the best learning
But
experience.
what we face the challenge is, see, as long as we support, our handheld support has been provided, they follow it. But the sustainability is the biggest challenge we face over there.
So that is what I said. The theoretical giving of knowledge will never sustain itself. They have to come and see it with their eyes. So
Exactly, that's what.
setting up a demonstrator plot and tell them, on your land, how much are you spending on fertilizer? How much are you spending on chemicals? How much are you spending on water? How much are you spending? I know farmers buy tractor loads of soil every year and they spend lakhs on that. Do you know that?
Yeah.
How much are you spending on soil again? And how much are you spending on labor? How much are you spending on watering? Make a list and tell them, see, this is what you're doing. And here we are doing everything for zero cost.
That's right. Now, see, for example, we work.
And let them come and experiment. Let them work on that soil and see, oh, this is all that's required. Why am I doing all these other things? That's because most often government universities mislead them.
Yeah.
Because they have been funded by corporate. This is the problem.
That is true. That I understand. But thing is, we concentrate more on the areas which are vulnerable to disaster, I mean hazards. Major, see, coastal areas are Ooty, like, where landslides happen over there, and make them to understand the kind of preparedness and planning and preparedness and mitigation measures. Everything is being taught, and they also followed it as long as we are supporting it over there. After 10, 15 years, we went back, all new generation, and they are totally changed. and they don't follow any of it. They are gone back to the original thing over there, looking forward and then looking for relief and rehabilitation, that kind of lifestyle. Again, they have come back. So the sustainability part is, so one thing is what we are selling about mock drills. Do some mock drill regularly so that you can understand when the problem comes, you can face it. But there is no one to lead from the community side, because every time, say for example, we connect with the community with a wireless system in Kadalur. And after some time, there was a clash who to pay the electricity bill. And there is a clash between the panchayat and the collector office. They said, you have to pay, you have to pay. And finally, the panchayat decided whether you pay or not, and we are responsible. So they covered the entire wireless system and kept back. After 5-6 years, and I visited over there, they said, sir, your machine is safe, no problem, we are not using it. I said, why? He said, there is no one to pay the electricity. So there is some kind of a fundamental problem in analyzing a challenge and a long-term challenge, and then giving a sustainable way of looking into the problem and take it to the next level. And somewhere we are missing that link. That is what we are looking forward, how to take it up.
See,
So somewhere there are some good models are there. There are some good models really we have documented, but most of the places, the new generation when it comes over there, the technology is not getting transferred automatically to the next generation. That is where we find it a bit difficult. Yeah.
sir, you have amply demonstrated some of the points I actually raised. So one, I said, see, most of the disaster areas are artificial. It's not natural. Basically, we would have destroyed the green cover. If the green cover is not there, the soil becomes completely exposed and erosion prone, both from water and air, wind and so that is how a lot of this all these landslides are happening, because vegetation is gone. There's no cover to hold it. That is simply the reason. But if you can bring back regenerative practices, it'll all get covered. It'll all become strong again. It'll become healthy. Now, why the next generation does that? This is what I'll tell you. The problem is that generation has gone to school. They've been locked up in classrooms. That is the problem. Immersion is not happening. How we can solve that problem is simple. See, a lot of what you said, see, Panchayat is actually an active community already.
Right.
In fact, this is the change that we need in democracy. I told you, the first generation, how they betrayed our democracy, Nehru generation, is because they didn't read what Gandhiji said. Gandhiji always said, have a strong Gram Panchayat. If they'd done it, then we wouldn't have reached this situation. They corrected their mistake. The government corrected its mistake in 1992. That's after how many years after independence? In 1992, they brought the Panchayati Raj Act. 1992, they brought the Nagar Raj Act. So, this, unfortunately, this correction happened so late. A lot of centralization had happened. Central government, state government are controlling everything. They're controlling a lot of money. So when money and decision making is too centralized, so what happens? The corporates can easily target them. It's easy for a corporate to target the central government and say, focus on chemical-based farming. So it gets all the universities start pushing that, and everything gets destroyed. Whereas if it was all decentralized, it wouldn't have happened. So today, panchayat level revival is happening. Panchayats are working, Gram Panchayats are working to some extent. Throughout the country, it's somewhat, those are natural communities because all the villages are there. Now, the question is how they prioritize decision making. So, decision making depends on awareness. So, how we can help, like I told you, you can't force anyone to do anything. You can show them. Maybe people who are motivated enough in the cities, one model of interaction is maybe a lot of communities, businesses get together and fund one demonstrator. Like I said, set up a demonstrator plant. You can have a demonstrator for sustainable practices. It can be as simple as only demonstrating sustainable soil management, or it can extend to even sustainable production, sustainable other things also, where anything that is sustainable is pushed, like sustainable construction practices. You can have like a little museum, or you can call it a study center or something like that. So where it is focused, and the focus area should only remain on sustainable practices.
Like a resource center. Like a resource center.
People can come there and immerse. You can go tell the school principal, you please send your kids here once a week. Let them come and play with the soil. Let them work with some sort of hand tooling, some sort of earth construction. The kids who have experienced it. And then you can have outbound activities. You can have one resource person there who understands all of this, who can take them on outbound activities to a location that is prone to disaster, and they can
Yeah.
show them this is why it is happening. Take them to a healthy forest and to see here no disaster happened. The child will remember this for life. It is not a classroom theoretical textbook exercise.
True, true.
When
Yeah.
that generation comes and sits in the panchayat, they will take the right decision.
Right. Thank you.
Now you have this generational change which is destructive.
Yeah.
You will have a generational change which is positive after that.
That's right. That's right. Thank
You
you
have
so
to have
much.
immersive education. Immersion
Yeah.
is the only solution.
Right. Thank you so much.
Ilangon sir. Ilangon sir.
Thanks, Sandeep. Really appreciate your understanding and the passion, the way you have expressed the ground level, reality. I am also from the rural area. In fact, I'm spending last 2 years, this type of things in my village. I'm trying to understand in Tamil Nadu, have you done any project, any example you can quote? What type of, farming done? And
I have
generally,
not
as
done
you
anything in
know,
Tamil Nadu, sir. But
no.
also, my direct experience with farming is what I've done in my neighborhood community farm. We have documented it and put videos and all that. But I
Okay.
work with Karnataka the Subhash Palekar Natural Farming Network in Karnataka. We have worked with a lot of farmers. We've also done a lot of courses. So that is how. But I hear in Tamil Nadu there are a lot of movements are similar. In fact, there are quite a few organic farming movements. I'm forgetting the name. There's a great social reformer also who it is in the tip of my
Namalwar?
tongue. I'm not
You mean Namalwar?
Namalwar. Namalwar.
Okay.
So he has
Mm-hmm.
propagated a lot of natural farming techniques. Those are wonderful. But what I say is, like a lot of people say, they criticize Subhash Palekar, and he says this, and all that. What I say is, if you understand soil, these people are showing you a framework under which you do the right things so the soil is regenerated, right? If you
Okay.
understand soil, you can do it yourself. The simple principle, keep your soil covered. If you understand that you don't need Namalwar, you don't need Subhash Palekar.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Okay.
No.
With your
So what you can
understanding,
do, sir, do you have a farm in your village still?
still I have, but I'm not doing direct. My father used to do. Now,
No.
I am planning
How many
to.
acres are there?
We have something like 15 acres.
15 acres is wonderful. We don't want 15 acres. You go there,
Mm-hmm.
take a 10 by 10 plot, 10 foot by 10 foot. Over there, you please do what I was saying. All the leaf trimmings, grass cropping, everything you bring and dump over there. Not dump in a pile because then it'll become a compost pile. Not like that. You spread it
I have.
evenly, not more than 6 inches.
Yeah. No, I have seen such things in 15 acres near Mahabalipuram. You may be knowing Tamil Pannai. There is one, my friend. Exactly is doing the same thing. That is a dry area. In my area, it's a paddy cultivation. Generally, people who are doing traditionally paddy cultivation, they don't change because that's what they know, right?
I know culture change is very difficult.
Yeah. So between wetland and dry land, this concept is workable more for dry land. Is it my understanding correct?
It works everywhere.
It works everywhere.
You should read the one straw revolution by Manasobu Fukuoka.
Mm-hmm.
Japan is one place where there is intensive flooded rice cultivation. That man was a plant scientist. He figured out that it is all unnecessary. What he used to do after each rice cultivation, after the paddy is removed, that same grass he used to put it back on the soil and cover it. And he used to dibble rice. He never used to flood his thing. And his farm production was highest compared to all the other modern farms in Japan.
Oh, I see.
You see how we have misconceptions on everything, and farmers are very averse to trying something else. That is a very difficult thing. So you please read this. It's a very small book, sir. One Straw Revolution. Please read that. It will change your perspective on the world.
Okay. Thank you.
That's also a very inspiring book I read.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Sandeep, there's one question. Sandeep, there's one question from Mr. N.S. Murthy. As per your view, what is your view on Miyawaki urban forest and how to make best use of it?
Sir, Miyawaki forest, see, the principles it is based on is close cultivation of trees so that they will. So basically, I'll tell you something on soil. No, why? A lot of people think of this concept of weed. No, in natural farming there is no weed. Okay, why? Because weed is actually mulch. Anything live or dead covering the soil is mulch. So when you understand soil, weed is very essential. Okay. The only weed that is non-essential is that which covers any of our the crop we are producing. Why? Because when you understand soil, when you understand when microbes are there, microbes give you unlimited nutrition. Okay. So why you don't? That is the reason you don't consider weed as competition. So the general problem with farmers, they're very scared of weed. We should kill it. We should destroy it. Why? Because they think they are taking away the nutrition which should go to our plant. Why? Because they have destroyed the soil. There is no nutrition. There is no microbes. And only the chemicals they put into the soil is the nutrition. Therefore, every plant that takes it, it is competition. Yes. But once you recover your soil into a natural form, there is no competition. Why? There are millions, trillions of microbes. How much ever is required for every plant is produced under the soil. So there is no competition below the soil. You know where the competition is? Where is the competition? It is above the soil, where sunlight. Every plant requires sunlight. So plants will fight for sunlight. That is why if there is a weed which covers any of your crop, those should be trimmed. But don't cut any other weed. But so why was I explaining this? It also helps you understand natural farming. That's why. But in Miyawaki, what they do, they use the same principle. The competition for sunlight makes the plants grow quickly. So basically, in Miyawaki, they do close cropping of big trees. So they all grow fast and grow. So you create a dense tree cover much quicker than if you do it if you plant them apart. Also, they become the natural mulch. The same saplings which are growing automatically cut off sunlight. So your soil will remain cool. Microbes will thrive. So you'll automatically get. So this principle is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing is when the principle is applied, I've seen in many Miyawaki plantations, they tend to dig up 1 foot of soil, then put a huge mixture of compost and organic fertilizers into the soil and fill it up. There's nothing really wrong with it. It just gives you a sudden dose of fertilizers, but it overlooks the idea that to restore fertility in a soil, you don't require all that. If you cover the soil with mulch for 1 week, you will get the same amount of productivity in the soil. So unnecessarily, Miyawaki proponents spend a lot on the building of soil, which is not necessary. Building of soil, you only need to cover the soil for some time. Automatically, it will become nutritious. If, in fact, if you fence any piece of land, if you go to Navadarshanam, in Hosur, it's an example, completely destroyed soil. They, you know what they did? They just fenced that 10 or 20 acres. They didn't allow humans in. They allowed animals. They did not allow humans in. That entire place became a forest. So a lot of human intervention, which we think, yeah, we are responsible for everything in this world. Only we can improve things and all. That is the ego of the human mind. If we keep away as humans from everywhere, the land will thrive on its own. That is the first lesson you have to learn. So even if you're doing Miyawaki, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what we're doing. Eventually, it leads to a good forest cover. But you don't need to spend so much effort. You just mulch the land, then you plant the same saplings in the same way you want to do it. You will get the same, if not better, productivity. This is what I think. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor Sanjana.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go on, John.
May I
Please.
share some of my views?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, my name is Johnny Verghese. I'm from Kerala.
Yes, Johnny.
I am into natural farming for the last 25 years.
Oh, wonderful.
Also, I was part of the delegation from Kerala, which visited APCNF last year.
I see. Okay.
We have gone through several of the fields, farmed by farmers or, in Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
And some of my personal experience I want to share is that
Yes.
even though I am following natural farming, it is not effective in certain cases. Uh, if you take, for example, banana cultivation, there is one variety called Nendran, which requires nutrients in the right time, in the right manner. Otherwise, it won't give near to sufficient production. And even though we followed natural farming in the case of Nendran, we were not able to harvest a reasonable amount of output out of that particular variety. The other varieties, actually, it's working out. Then comes to the other crops. The seed is a primary concern because many of the native seeds we lost already. Natural farming primarily focuses on native seeds to be sown and harvest taken out of that. And that particular native seeds have the capacity to withstand pests and other thing, and they are resistant to many of the problems also. But we fall short of this native seeds in many cases. The other thing is that the government is not providing any support in this particular domain, I should say. The research organization is not interested. As you mentioned already, they are following the the system everywhere throughout the world, which focuses on this fertilizer application, the modern type of farming, etc. But natural farming too, we can adopt this modern techniques. But optimization is something which we have to do in a collective manner to bring out the best out of this particular natural regenerative farming. And in the case of Andhra Pradesh, what I noticed is that even though a huge number of farmers are following the practice, the RYSS, the organization which is promoting the movement over there, what they told is that they are not focusing on value addition because if they provide some extra pricing for this any particular commodity they are producing, then the farmers always look to that point that they want to get something extra. From the start itself, they told that they will get
Okay,
only the
Johnny,
market. Yeah.
Johnny, can you please limit?
Yes, yes,
You're
yes,
going
yes.
too long. I'll not be
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to respond to everything.
All right, sure. The thing is that
Have you
actually
covered
there
all the
should
points?
be.
If not, you try to briefly cover it.
Yes. The main thing is that there should be a network for marketing, which is not having anywhere as of now in our country. The farmer level also, actually there should be a network which will be providing the necessary seeds in the particular states. That is missing over now. All those things have to be looked out to make it reachable to all the farmers. That's what I want to say from my experience.
Okay, Johnny, we'll go one by one regarding all the points you raised. The first thing, I'd like to first ask you a question. How many acres do you have, Johnny?
I am farming 15 acres.
15 acres. Okay, fine. Now, my question to you is this. Were you doing chemical farming before? And then did you shift to natural farming?
See, actually, here in Kerala, actually, our crop is mainly plantation crops, and we are doing
No, my simple question
coffee.
is your experience. Before you
Yeah,
started natural farming, have you
yes,
completely
but
switched to natural farming?
the chemical fertilizers used prior to my generation were limited because the crop which we had over here needs only very little, chemical nutrients.
Okay. So how many species of crops are you growing in your farm?
Yeah, we have coffee over here, rubber is here, banana is here.
Roughly, is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 15? 100? How many?
The main crop is rubber, which comes to around some 2,000 trees. And banana, we have some 50 to 100.
Okay.
Okay, coffee is there around 1,000 or so.
So you
Coconut
have
is
three
there
crops basically.
around 100 and 150.
Which one?
Coconut.
Okay.
About
So it's basically
150.
4 to 5 crops you're talking of, right?
Yes.
Okay. And these are in multiple layers. Is your soil
Yeah.
all fully covered?
Yes, sure.
It's all fully covered. You can
Yes.
actually have, if I understand you, you've got rubber, which is a tree. Then you have coffee, which is a small tree. It's almost a bush. Uh, then you have bananas in between, and tree, which is a fourth crop, is coconuts also, which is a tree. Okay. There are at least 20 to 50 other species you can have as intercrop. Number one. All right. All of them can bring you money. Secondly, you said you don't have any expenses on fertilizers because you said even before you're not spending, right?
Yes.
Now, you have multiple species of banana also.
Yes.
So, going by this premise that you're not spending any money and everything is just giving you money, you are anyway in profit and you're always in profit. Correct?
Sure.
Yes or no? Huh?
Yes.
You're a fortunate person who's in profit and you're sitting and cribbing that one Nendran species. You expect it to give so much production, is giving you less production. So, do you need a culture change in your agriculture or a culture change of mind? That is my first question. I don't mean to
No,
offend you. I'm just saying. See, this is how we
no,
think.
actually, there are crops, this Nathan variety, I mean, wherever we plan to do, that particular variety needs enough nutrient in the right time, in the right dosage.
No. See,
Otherwise,
if
it won't give you any result.
no, the problem is if your soil is covered, your soil is always nutrient. Not
Yes,
not
yes,
only nutrient rich, it is nutrient abundant. There is no problem with nutrition if your soil is covered. Okay. Now,
yeah,
the thing is, we tend to get into this thing of, oh, this plant should give X amount, Y amount, productivity. This is this modern culture of factory production, right? That culturing is what destroyed our farming industry. Why farmers switch to chemicals? Oh, I want so much more. I want. All farmers were happy actually before when they didn't have greed. Everybody was well to do. None of them had debt. In fact, farmers traditionally were called landlords. They had lots of money. I know farmers used to employ 100, 200 labor, 500 labor and all. After they adopted green revolution and started doing monocropping and putting chemicals into the farm, all of them went into penury. All of them are in debt. All of them are committing suicide. It's a culture, we want productivity. You want so much more. This culture has to change first. You are so fortunate you have a healthy farm. Everything is growing. You are getting enough money. You are actually wealthy. From my calculations, what I perceive, you are very wealthy. So, and you're still complaining about one crop where you say, this should be producing more banana. I feel there's nothing wrong with that crop. Whatever it's producing is good for you. This has to change the thinking. Ultimately, we have to think about how we have to live happily. You are in an extremely fortunate situation and you're sitting and complaining. You get what I'm saying? And
No, actually,
secondly,
I am
when
not
you
complaining. What I am telling is a fact which we observe generally
no,
when we follow
you're
this
so
practice.
focused on that. You're so focused on that, and I'm sure even that will all like when your ecosystem is resilient, even that production will go. But that is not the problem. There is a big whiteboard. You're focusing on that small dot, the one small black dot. In terms of our human way of thinking, our attitudes, and our perspective, this has to shift. Otherwise, we'll destroy our planet. What's destroying our planet is this obsession. You understand?
Yes.
Respectfully, I'm saying this, but this is something that needs to change. Secondly, I'll tell you, you're talking about marketing and all that. See, number one, when your production it is already zero cost, even selling it at 1 paisa is a profit. And what I'm saying is net, it's a profit. So this obsession with pricing, yes, it's okay if you get few more money. Just imagine a situation where all farmers are not spending much on their, are not forced to spend like you are not forced to spend, and every income that's coming is a profit. Most of those farmers will go back to being peaceful. Earlier, farmers didn't have stress; they lived healthy, happy life. So our focus is on improving our quality of life, not getting into the
Yeah.
rat race that
Yeah,
industrialization has placed
actually,
us into.
when I mentioned regarding marketing, I didn't mean the price conscious line. Actually, what I'm intended to say is that this particular product, if X or Y people
Yeah.
want to purchase, then
No,
they
I get
should
it. And
have
I
an
already
access
said
to
it,
that.
Johnny. In the interest of time, let me just cover all the points.
Okay.
That is one aspect. The profitability of the farmer is not affected. It's actually in a good space. The idea is all of us want to be in a happy space. We don't want the stress of getting more money. We want to be happy, healthy, and have considerable social security. That's enough. Now, what I say is self-sufficiency should be our goal, not extreme greed, which is being pushed by a modern culture. Third thing, is it really necessary to have separate networks? Yeah, like today, if you advertise your product as completely natural, you will get higher price than organic. Okay, organic is already at a premium. You can get those premium prices if you actually invest on building a, like today it's very easy. You don't have to depend on networks also. Everything is democratized through social media. You can build your own network, you can build a website, you can build your following, you can build your own customers who will even order only exclusively from you, who will come to your place. It just requires a little effort in marketing, which many of the people in this network will be very competent at. You can take their help. But what I am saying is this: what has grown with no expense, which is superior to all the other products because it's healthy, it's more nutritious, it's also medicinal because what you put into the soil, you will get back the same. So should this go only to people who pay premium? Is my question number one. Okay. Shouldn't the person next to your in your neighborhood also be able to afford this? Why should some rich man sitting somewhere be the only one to afford it? If you can sell it at normal prices to everyone and you're still getting a profit, whereas the farmers who are using chemicals are selling it at a loss. So while you're already profiting, why shouldn't we make it available at normal prices to everyone? Let everybody become healthier. Let everybody consume good food. Why should only premium consumers get this? I mean, I'm looking at a larger issue, but this is my belief. Everybody should be producing healthy stuff. Everybody should be consuming healthy stuff. Everybody should be prospering. If we all have this shift in our worldview, in our consciousness, I think the entire planet will be a better place. That is my simple answer to this whole thing. I think I've covered almost everything you said in this 1-2 lines, right?
Yeah, Sanjana, please go on, Sanjana.
So may I? Good morning, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you so
please.
much
Yeah.
for this wonderful session which is going on. So there are 2-3 things. One, I would like to share my perspective, and second, I have a couple of questions which are very important. Which is basically for all of us, not only for speaker, because we all are involved and associated with this particular problem. Now, so when you talked about sustainability, you said that decentralization is what is required, and most of the powers are in the hands of central and state government, and then it comes to the village panchayat level. It penetrates downwards. But as you said that if we take things in hands at the gram level or gram panchayat level, it can be the wonders can be done. So in this association, sir, I would like to share one example which is already a set example by a local government, gram panchayat sarpanch, Mr. Pawar. He is also a Padma Shri awardee. So what he has done, sir, in 1980, when he became a sarpanch, he observed a couple of problems at the gram level as far as the sustainability is concerned, and why the particular village is uh, going through poverty. It was a drought affected area near Pune district. So the name of the village is, sir, Hibre Bazar. So he understood those problems, and he, as a decision maker, he started taking those important decisions at his village level. And you would see, sir, all of you can Google it. You can find more information, and which could in fact help you in your own areas also to find some solutions in your areas where you are trying to find some solutions to some questions in related to sustainability. So not what he had done is he found local problems, like the entire village was drought affected. Then secondly, it was also people were also very alcoholic, because these are the main you can say the strength, the men who are going to work and go to the fields and going to work. So if they are under the influence of alcohol, who is going to work in the fields? So nothing is happening. Everything is standstill. There is a question: who is going to work and when they are going to work? So all these local problems he understood, and he started implementing those changes through his decisions at the his village level. Now, so today you will see the economy. He has totally transformed the village. And today there are almost 15 to 16 millennials, in the same village. The poor village has transformed into something, where global people have to make note of it, and they are trying to follow his particular model, what exactly he has done. So one lesson what we get out of it is what you rightly said, sir, that the micro level changes has to be done, and at the village level it has to start getting implemented. But sir, at the same time there is a problem that, as we see, all the villages are throughout India. They are the people are not there, especially the young generation is not there due to whatever reasons. We all know the reasons. Now we'll not get into that. But then the idea is to how to bring them back in the village. Sometimes there are some genuine problems. For example, I would like to share my own example. We have almost 30 to 35 acres of land in our village. The area is little drought affected again, but then only my in-laws are there, and they are getting the farming done by there are people who are hired for getting that work done. So how we can solve these problems on a bigger level? Because I am keen in participating in all the activities what is happening in my farm, but I am not able to value add anything into that besides just giving suggestions. And what they require is your presence in the village. So that is not happening. So we have knowledge, they are present there, but then how to bridge that? That is one thing which is missing. Secondly, our new generation, the students who are into schools and colleges and all that, so they are somewhere getting influenced by the Western culture a lot. We like whosoever is present here, so we all have lived in the villages and we know the village life. But these people are, since the time of their birth, they are surrounded by all the comforts, in their lives. They haven't seen the village life at all. Whatever their exposure is only limited to, okay, they know, at least they know that this particular fruit comes from this particular tree, and potatoes are not grown on the tree, they are underground. Maybe that is the utmost knowledge what they could have. But then how we can bring these future generations to the soil level? That is what we have to make efforts in whatever ways we can. Because uh, one example what I have seen, sir, I'm just going to finish my talk in a minute. One example what I've seen is, now these school trips which, where they take children to different places. So one very renowned school in my city, they had been taking children from last 5 years to one amusement park. That's all. Every year the trip goes there only. And parents also pay a good hefty amount of money. They don't hesitate. But then how we can change it? How we can change this perspective? This has to be done, everywhere. Like even the people who are involved in education system, they are also thinking about the comfort and the enjoyment and things like that. But why can't we take those students to the root level and show them what is, village life is all about? Or why can't we include those things in NEP? Why, NEP was recently formed after 33 years. This particular new education policy came into existence. So all those fancy things are there in that. But then why not actual hands-on training is there of any of kind? It is only included in what you say, vocational training or under vocational thing, and which is looked after at a very you can say very low or very low profile thing. Some student who has taken as a vocational program or a vocational thing, he is looked at as if, he needs money, and he is poor, and he is not capable of taking higher education, like that. So our education system, though it has transformed after so many years, still it is not sufficient, or it has neglected this very important point. So somewhere we all have to look into it. Whenever we were there at the decision making seat, we haven't done justice to it. I think that is the thing. Ethically, sir, what you said, if we all think positively, or we all think about this sustainability, the world will become a very good place. But practically, when it comes to taking those decisions, when we are actually on the chair or we are on those seats, we are not doing it. So how we can bring this change? So I would like to know your perspective on in this regard, sir. Thank you.
You you asked me some very what do you call it? These are big changes that we have to address. A lot of it has got stratified due to a very long period of existence, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't change. The present paradigm, the present paradigm is also something that replaced an older paradigm, right? So new paradigm replacing this is immensely possible. It's not that there is no possibility. In fact, more than at any time in history, change is so immediate and quick at this present time. So even positive change can happen at a rapid pace because we have means of communication are at its highest right now. But our restrictions are that we have some outdated systems of pedagogy and learning and stuff like that. Those, like as you rightly said, the NAP is not doing enough. It's only scratching the surface. It should do a lot more. As far as learning goes, my personal experience is there is no replacement for immersion for a child or an adult to actually get into the problem and swim in it. There is no other alternative. So if you have to shift farmer practices, that farmer has to experience something else. There's no replacement to setting up. If you want to do positive intervention in a village, don't go and give them theory sessions. Don't go there and give them classes. No. Set up a demonstrator plot. Keep it there. Have somebody who's learned or experienced to maintain it and show to people who come there. Word gets around. When farmers get to know there's a demonstrator plot, this is what they're doing over there, they will go. You keep it open for farmers to come and participate in it, all that. They will get to learn it. That learning they will take back. You tell them theoretically, you aisa karo, waisa karo, a chemical kharab hai, this is what you should do. They will not integrate into the practice. So immersion is very important. Without immersion, nothing. This also applies to students. You're saying students are disconnected. There are a couple of issues there. There's a social issue and there's also a learning issue. The learning issue, even to our present generation, if we don't replace our classroom pedagogy with immersion based, children should be taken, like you said, no, they do outbound, they take them to entertainment. That's not learning. They should be taking them to a natural farm or to a forest or to understand different things about ecology or to a farm industry, maybe handmade production, all that. There are immense things that children can immerse themselves in. They learn it and they will retain it for a lifetime. There are some interesting schools where they have kitchen gardens. The children only do farming. That food is used in their canteen to give them food. Just imagine the joy the child will feel at eating food that is cooked from his own produce, which he has produced. That learning will stay with him for him or her for their entire life. You can have workshops in school which are, which teach them basic skills, life skills of all kinds. See, there are only two things that a classroom should teach children. Language skills. And at an early age, children can learn any number of languages. I don't know why people are fighting about languages. A child should be given an option of learning how many other languages they want. At age 4, they are soaking in. I think they develop at the pace of 200 words per day or something. That's the kind of vocabulary that they can soak in. At that time, use them for the right purpose. Let them learn 10 languages. We won't have these language conflicts and fights. Let them learn 20 languages. Who does it benefit? It benefits the child. He'll be so competent, he can go anywhere in the world and do whatever he wants. It builds us confidence. And then arithmetic. That is very useful in life. Beyond these two things, there is no need for children to spend 20 years locked up in a classroom, mugging garbage, vomiting garbage, and not remembering it for the rest of their life. Why are we wasting 20 years of their life? I don't understand. Apart from math and languages, let them learn any number of languages. This can be the limited classroom intervention we need. Remaining, you should throw them out. They should spend time in soil. They should go and spend time in agriculture on farms. They should go and spend time in the panchayat. They should go spend time in government offices. They should go spend time in anything that interests them. There should be no limit to what they can learn, but it should not be in a classroom. Let children say, I want to learn about this. My father was saying this. I want to find the truth. Let the facilitators encourage them to find the truth of that. This is the kind of education we need. Self-paced, self-directed. Our entire world will get transformed. It's high time for this pedagogy to replace whatever we have. In fact, almost all the problems that you are mentioning, Professor, have been covered in this. This will solve everything. Generationally, we will completely transform. And village interventions, like I said, you need demonstrators. You can't have theory. Have I answered both your questions?
So yes, to some extent, but the second question where I personally would like to participate in my own land development activity, which I'm not able to do it because I'm almost 200 kilometers away from it. And when when you tell something, they want your physical presence. They are like, don't give gyan from the distance. That I think that happens with everyone, and
Professor,
we are genuinely interested, but then our my hands are really tied up, that due to whatever responsibilities, I'm not able to directly what you say participate in that. And for all these things, sir, you require time on your hand. Only by going 10-15 days or for a week's time you cannot really make changes. You have to be present there at least for 6 months or a year, which your present responsibilities do not allow you. That is one thing. Maybe
no,
I think that
Professor,
is.
Professor, it's very simple. Eventually, you will spend time on the things that are dear to you. What you love doing, you will end up doing. Okay. So this is a very personal choice-based question. Whatever you're spending time on is it's fulfilling enough for you to spend time on it. So I don't think you should have any regret. There are 8 billion people on this planet. Everybody will not do everything. People will do what they love doing, and sometimes they do. Most of us don't do even what we love doing. If your present vocation gives you fulfillment, then there's nothing wrong with it. If your present fulfillment, on the other hand, if your present vocation is not fulfilling, and you have 30 acres of land which is lying there, which you're already wealthy, I don't see why you should imprison yourself in a profession which is not fulfilling. Okay, that's a personal choice. Just because you spent 20 years of life getting educated and did whatever your parents told you to get educated in, it doesn't mean you have to imprison yourself for the rest of your life in a job that you're not happy with. If you're unhappy with a job, go to your farm, spend all your time. It's a,
So so
and
so
then you will
so
be
sorry
able
to
to influence what happens in the farm. You will also be able to immerse yourself and you will really understand how it works. Of course, you have to shift some culture change which has been adopted over the last few decades, bring it back into resilience. These simple principles of resilience apply everywhere. It works everywhere. Simple things. The basic principles are always the same. So you will find the solutions in all of that. And this is a matter of personal choice. I don't think anybody else can tell you what to do. It is something that you have to take an aware, conscious decision. That's all. I hope that answers your question.
No, sir. Still, the question is not really answered. It still remains there. I'm being very honest. Now, whatever you have told, I completely agree with you. That is my thought also, and it doesn't mean that I'm unhappy with whatever I'm doing right now. A
And
person
there's
can be
nothing wrong in you
interested.
doing what you're doing.
No,
So
sir,
why do you
sir,
have
sir.
regret?
It is no.
So if
I
you
don't
feel
have
you're
any.
not getting enough time to
No,
spend on the
sir.
farm and then change things, you just have to it's a matter of prioritizing time. It's nothing else. You'll have to prioritize time to spend there or find other ways of managing. It's a management issue. You'll have to find creative solutions.
So,
But anyway, this is a
I believe.
personal question you're addressing, so I think we shouldn't take away time
So,
from the rest of the group.
no, sir, that's okay. But whatever I just want to say that I'm one thing I never regretted in life for my choices. Okay, all the choices are very thoughtful choices, and a person can have equal interest in both the things. So this was the challenge what I was facing. So I thought maybe I'll
Sure,
address
sure.
it over
See,
here so that I can get some
no,
answer. But
no,
that's
I'm
okay.
glad you voiced it because unless you keep, like I say, there is nothing that can be
And the
called as
problems are
fulfillment.
always personal, sir. Personally
Yeah, yeah.
only faced, then
No,
only
fair
they
enough.
become a
No,
problem, and then only they
Professor,
are
I'm
asking.
very happy you voiced it, and I personally feel that there are no stupid questions. All questions are valid. In
No,
fact,
sir. It's not.
sometimes when I'm actually agreeing with you, Professor. I was not disagreeing.
No, I'm not
I was
saying
saying
that.
there
So
are
even
no
I'm
stupid
agreeing with
questions,
you.
and everything you asked is valid. So what I'm saying is sometimes when you voice it also, it helps you resolve it. You find some perspectives, which is great. But again, what I said is one, this is a public discussion and we can't spend too much time on a personal choice of yours. What I'm saying is it's something that you still have to, of course, collect all the information you can and make a choice which gives you happiness. There's nothing beyond that. There's nothing technical in this, right? So it's a personal choice question. And as
So
far as
I believe.
community goes, yes, you have to spend time in community.
Professor. Excuse
Hmm.
me, Langovan here.
Sure.
Maybe I can throw some light on this, Professor.
Yes,
You
sir.
may find in your area there will be somebody who is interested, but he doesn't have land. She or he doesn't have land. Okay, may be able to take care of your farm. You may explore that. I mean, these type of things are possible. I have some experience on that. Okay, there are people who don't have land, but they are interested, in that area or from other places or something like that, which you can, with your personal contact or with giving some paper advertisement, something like that you can explore, which you can pursue your passion using the land. It's just an idea. Thank you.
That's a very good idea. You can collaborate with others. One is, of course, Mr. Langavan was saying you find somebody who's interested in it and you employ them. That's a great idea. Or you can also form a community. If you have a few like-minded people together, you form a community and say, okay, we will take up those land to do regenerative farming, and all of us will share time. So basically, you won't have this restriction of personal time. You'll have a group of people who can work with you, and all of them can spare time when they can, and you can build a community out of it. And I mean, these are just a few suggestions and ideas, but if you keep seeking, you'll find more and more answers.
Right, sir. Right. So thank you so much, sir, for your insights. And we are already doing so this, no, that we have already contracted few people and they are taking care of the land. It's not barren. But then my question was, I was just a representative, sir. Many people are there who have their lands in the villages, and due to their chosen careers, they are in the city area. So how to, bridge that gap? That was my question, and maybe few things I've gotten from here, sir. Thank you so much for your insights, sir.
You can possibly form a virtual community with all those landowners who are not there. So you can form a WhatsApp group, and then all of you can work together. You plan group outings, plan trainings like the Subhash Palekar method or any other method. You can ask trainers to come there. You can train all of your farm hands. A lot of these farm hands are not comfortable doing all these regenerative because they already doing things in a chemical way, and it's very difficult for them to shift. So a lot of trainings on hands-on training will help them migrate. Things like that. You can do a lot of such interventions, and you can also build a nice community. You can be the next generation community in the village. You can participate with the panchayat. You can empower more things in the local self-government. All of these are great inputs. You can help the panchayat with technology. I remember 20 years back, one of the panchayats in Bangalore, at that time it was a big thing. They were on the internet. They had a website and all that. That was amazing. But even now, most village panchayats don't have those things. You can put them on the cloud. You can have water monitoring in the entire village. You can have check wells, and you can monitor, and you can have a dashboard. You can actually build a sustainability dashboard online for the village, map all its resources. Even if the government is not building a district master plan for the district, if you collaborate with your village, you build one for your village. Build a master plan for your village, ensuring all the first things get stolen in any area when prices keep going up are the public resources. Your grazing land, a watershed, forest, all of these will keep disappearing. People will keep encroaching. If you build a master plan, all those will get protected because it'll all get documented. There are so many things you can do for your village. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, once again. Sir Kasturajan, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gopi. Good afternoon, Mr. Sandeep.
No.
Do we have time for about 5 minutes? Only I'm going to give my views only. There are no questions actually.
Actually, Gopi should
Yeah.
should be
Yeah,
limited
that's it.
only
Then
to
let's do one
questions
thing.
because
No,
each of these.
actually, I'll tell you. No, Mr. Sandeep. It was quite interesting. A lot of insights.
Okay, we'll find a midway to this, Mr. Kasturi. If you can say
No, no
whatever you have
problem. No
within 1
problem.
minute,
No,
that's
no, no,
fine.
no
Huh.
problem. Let's have it on some other time. You have done a wonderful job. A lot of insights we got. I just thought of
Because also
sharing
see,
my
people
views
will be
only.
fatigued. From 10:30 we started. It's
Yeah,
already
yeah,
12
that's
o'clock.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Even the same as here also. I'm also
Okay.
having, other
Sure, sure.
commitment.
If
No
you can
problem.
briefly
Thanks a
say
lot.
whatever you have
Thanks
to
for
share,
your
it's fine, sir. No
presentation.
problem.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello? No, Mr. Kasturi. If you can say whatever you have to say briefly, you're more than welcome.
It's okay. Okay. Sanjay, go on, Sanjay. Sanjay, go on.
Yes, sir. It's an excellent session, sir. Sir, you started with that IPCC, what about that Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change? They annually, paint that with their all that report. They paint the doomsday years, maybe 120 years. After some time, they'll make it 100 years, then maybe 80, something like that. Now, this trend is actually something like going down, right? The number of years which they project, which is not, which is blissfully ignored by all others. So, I was just trying to think, that if that could be presented as just one slide, so we know that, yes, this is actually a serious thing from there because we do not know, what is the projection. So, and you said that regenerative farming can actually improve this, which means that
It
time
can have a
will be
huge
increased.
impact. See, governments
It
are
will
trying to
increase
find
now, like
solutions.
50 years now, 80 years will again go back to 120 years.
Correct.
Then 150 years, maybe, and then it could be sustained to 500,000 or whatever humanity wants to sustain its civilization. Now, I was just thinking that, nowadays, when the rural to urban, the movement is actually basically livelihood. It is basically making a living to start with. So everybody is now interested in markets, stock markets. We have something called as the bear phase. I don't want to use that, too much into that. And then once everybody knows that there is going to be a bull phase later, right? So it's going to
So
come
we
down
we
and
lost
increase.
your voice, sir.
Acha, you lost my voice.
Yeah, for about 10 seconds.
Oh, 10 seconds. So like stock markets have this bearish phase, it goes down, but then everybody hopes that it will come to a bullish phase. So similarly, the relationship, could be something like with regenerative farming, this bearish phase of doomsday scenario could actually be pulled back with more years for the planet. It's something like that, one has to correlate because one is about environment, which doesn't get documented, and other is very closely tracked stock market, the materialistic aspect, because of which also there is a rural to urban movement as well, migration. And I will just end with your remark, which you I remember that you said that what you have observed that what benefits everyone is not documented, and what get documented is what which benefits the few. So I think I'll end with this. So it's only my just suggestion is to put that slide there, IPC slide. It will give a very good picture. And just to making a tangential remark, if the number of years are keeping going down, then we don't require district plans as well. It's a very tangential remark.
Oh, yeah. Fine, fair enough. All your points are accepted. In fact, yeah, I wanted to do a slide deck initially, but I generally thought that this
Yes.
PPT slides has become such a habit. People are, while you're talking, they'll be busy studying the slide, and it's a very unproductive thing. When you're talking of a lot of things, it's very difficult.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Very. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Thank you. I think we've exceeded the time and we've taken a lot of your time.
No problem. You're most more than welcome.
Yeah.
In fact, Mr. Kasturi, we asked him to briefly at least say what he had to say, but he.
Yeah. It's okay. No problem.
Yeah. All right. I thank all of you.